Hello everyone, it's Noah here, and the Master Duel 1st anniversary is finally here, and with it, we finally have the Dark Magician structure deck. The structure deck itself is pretty packed with Magician Souls and a Legion of Chaos together in the same pack, and I am very excited to bring you today what I made using just 3 copies of this structure deck. Presenting Dark Magician. Now you may have noticed that I did cheat a little bit, because I did use the bundles such as the Solemn Judgment, Infinite Impermanence, Ash Blossom, and Lightning Storm just to give the deck a little bit of a competitive edge, as most decks you'll encounter in ranked will be playing a lot of power staples. I think any new starting player will have easy access to those cards anyway. Then I think it makes sense to have the 3-time structure decks as well as these 4 staples to help us compete with the meta decks better. And this deck actually performed a lot better than I expected. If you don't know how the deck works, I'll go quickly over it card by card to explain what each card does, and then we'll go over a gameplay and see if it performs in ranked. First we have Dark Magician, of course, 3 copies, the heart and soul of the deck. I have the exclusive altered Dark Magician for the 1st anniversary. It was 3000 gems, I think. The drip just makes everything worth it. I have a small Magician Roll package with Chocolate Magician Roll and a Bear Magician Roll. This is for as my normal summon, as Rod is normally the only normal summon in this deck. This allows me to draw more cards and cycle my cards with it. And they aren't terrible to stay on the board either, as they have some battle protection as well. I do like these normal summons just to recycle into more cards. Now very importantly, we have Magician Souls in this deck. This allows us to send a Dark Magician from our deck to the graveyard to summon itself or the Dark Magician from the graveyard. And when it's on the field, you can pitch up to 2 spell traps from your field or from your hand to throw that many cards. This is a really good cycle tool and allows you to get the Dark Magician into the graveyard very easily, which is very important with this deck. And Illusion of Chaos is basically allows you to draw Magician Souls from your deck. So that's why you need 3 copies of it as well. Magician's Rod is the perfect normal summon for the deck, where it allows you to add a spell trap that mentions Dark Magician, which we have so many good targets to. And I am playing 1 Magic Kuriboh, because this is a card that the opponents don't really expect, and allows you to basically not die by bringing back your Dark Magician when this takes damage. And since it can come from your deck as well, it allows you to put more Dark Magicians into the play, and this also recycles itself. So it's a good way to stay alive, but I don't think I would play more than 1. Now let's go for the combo starter spells first. So first we have Magician Salvation. When activated, it sets Eternal Soul on our field. And when I summon a Dark Magician, I can summon a Dark Magician Girl or vice versa. With Eternal Soul, once per turn I can bring the Dark Magician from my hand or graveyard to my field, or add a Dark Magic attack and 1000 knives to our deck to our hand. This allows us to summon Dark Magician every turn, and it makes our Dark Magician monsters become unaffected. But if this card leaves the field while face up, we will lose all our monsters, so you need to be playing around that constantly. We also have our Dark Magic attack as our target to search from Eternal Soul as a searchable Harpy's Feather Duster, which is pretty good. We also have Dark Magical Circle, which is also a really important card. When activated, you can unlock the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 that mentions Dark Magician to your hand, and put the rest in any order that you like. And when you summon a Dark Magician, you can target a card that your opponent controls and banish it. This not only allows you to get more cards and stack your deck the way you want, but also a removal every turn. It's really good with Eternal Soul, so this is usually the combo aboard with Salvation, Eternal Soul, and Dark Magical Circle if you haven't played the deck already. Soul Servant is also crazy for the deck, where it basically allows you to put any card you want that mentions Dark Magician to the top of your deck. Then you can banish it to draw cards equal to the number of Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girls in your field or graveyard. So this should easily draw you 1 or 2 cards. And since you put any card you want to the top of your deck, you can pretty much do what you want with it. Then for the fusion spells, I have 1 Eye of Timaeus and 1 Secrets of Dark Magic. I don't see this deck fusion summoning as often, and even if you do want to fusion summon, these are both searchable as they mention Dark Magician, so I really don't want to break on these, which is why I'm playing 1 of each. Piercing the Darkness feels like a little bit of cope, but in a long game this does draw you a lot of cards, and even just the turn you activate it, it can easily replace itself. And sometimes you just start with a normal Dark Magician on your board, so being in battle is quite important with this card, so I liked it at 1 copies honestly. So being in battle is quite important with this card, so I liked it at 1 copies honestly. One between teacher and student is a bit of a trope card, I'll admit. It does allow you to bring a Dark Magician duel if you already have a Dark Magician on the field, and then you can search Dark Burning Magic with it, which is why I think is pretty important. And Dark Burning Magic is a really strong card. It's a quick play spell that destroys all cards your opponent controls. The conditions can be a little hard to activate. Getting the Dark Magician is not a problem, but usually getting the Dark Magician duel is the issue. But when you do get this card to activate, you can just win the game against many decks, as nobody really expects this card. I'm playing Destined Rivals. It's a pretty good traps card that just negates the effects of all monsters your opponent controls. I don't want too many copies of it because this card does get pretty, but it can be really strong against the right deck. And finally, I'm on 1 Magician Navigation. This might also be a trope because I typically don't have a Dark Magician in my hand in addition to just my deck. But when you do, this allows you to summon it. And more importantly, you can banish it, negate 1 face-out spell trap your opponent controls. This is really important because you don't have to negate a field or a continuous spell with it. You can just negate spells like Lightning Storm by chaining the effect of Magician Navigation. But this card is really better in the deck than on the field, if I'm being honest. I don't think Ash Blossom, Lightning Storm, Infinite Impermanence, Solemn Judgment needs any introduction, so let's look at the extra deck. I'm obviously playing just 3 copies of every card in the structure deck, but the most important card here I think is the Dark Magicians because it comes up the most often. You can fusion summon this using a Dark Magician or a Dark Magician duel and another spellcaster monster. And once per turn, if a spell trap is activated, you can draw a card and then you can set it. And if it was a trap or a trick play spell, you can also activate that set this turn. And when it is destroyed, you can special summon a Dark Magician and a Dark Magician duel from your hand, deck, or graveyard. This card is really good in generating you advantage, and when it is destroyed, it brings back a Dark Magician and a Dark Magician duel. It is very good with Eternal Soul on the field, as when Eternal Soul is destroyed, it will destroy the Dark Magicians, but that will bring out both your monsters. And if you also happen to have a Dark Burning Magic at that moment, then it is just game over. I Optimized allows you to go into that Mission Duel the Dragon Knight and Dark Magician the Dragon Knight very easily. And Master of Chaos is also summonable thanks to Illusion of Chaos. And it's a really good card to break board as it has a non-targeting and non-destructive removal, just banishing all monsters your opponent controls. Really good to get in for game. Quintet Magician is... it's really not going to happen with this deck, the way I built the deck, but you know, we have 3 more spaces available, so why not? Maybe somehow we'll fusion summon 5 spellcasting monsters. Well, anyway, that's it for the deck profile, so let's get into games and see what Dark Magician can cast. And let's get into the field. You know I had to buy the Dark Magician mate as well. And this is going to be an epic battle. Our hand is looking pretty good, so we are going to start with Dark Magician Circle to add Soul Servant to our hand. Then I need to be fusion summoning here in order to make the Dark Magicians by using Dark Magician and the Dark Magician duel. This is so great. Now we can use Soul Servant to stack Magician Salvation to the top, and that will trigger our Dark Magicians to draw the Magician Salvation. With the Salvation, we can get Eternal Soul to the field, and now we can use the Soul Servant to draw 2 more cards. These draws are not ideal, but Piercing the Darkness might generate us some advantage later. We are just going to set our hands and pass the turn. We did end up the turn with 7 cards on field, so let's see what they're up to, and here comes the Pantatops. They're going to set 3 and go to the end phase, which is a perfect time to activate the Eternal Soul. I want to bait Dark Pantatops here because I actually do have the Dark Burning Magic. The summoning of Dark Magician is going to trigger a chain, first bringing Dark Magician duel with Magician Salvation, then drawing us 2 cards with Dark Magicians and Piercing the Darkness, then Dark Magician Circle forcing out the Pantatops, and I know that they would hit Eternal Soul to destroy our entire board. But that's going to be perfectly fine, because as you will see, first we'll draw our cards, which won't help us this turn, but it's not going to matter because the game is pretty much over. We get to that mission duel. When Eternal Soul triggers, I'm going to take Dark Burning Magic to destroy all cards on their field, and on resolution we get rid of all their spells that they're playing, and even though all monsters is destroyed, we'll be able to get our Dark Magician and Dark Magician duo back from the graveyard, and having seen that, they will just concede. Well, that game 1 was really quick, so let's look at another one. Now this game 2 will be quite long, so I'm going to speed through this. We're going to start with our Dark Magical Circle, and our opponent is going to respond with Max C. Which is perfectly fine. I'm going to use Soul Servant to stack Magician Salvation to the top, and using it we can get Eternal Soul. Unfortunately, we don't have an access to Dark Magician here, so we're just gonna have to wait for a little bit longer. Luckily, our opponent is also on a very heavy control strategy, so I don't think we are dying anytime soon. Since they have to strip their battle phase, we can use Eternal Soul in the end phase to thin our deck and get Dark Magic attack. They do have the engage though, so they will be starting to generate a lot of card advantage, and it's up to us to outgrind the control deck. We'll use Soul Servant to stack Magician Souls to the top, which will get our deck going. We just need to live for one more turn, but I don't think they have what it takes to beat us. They're going to start with an engage. We're not try Ash Blossoming yet, but they do have the Cold Buy to stop that. They are doing Afterburner maneuver to destroy our back row and go into Tradari to get that engage and generate more advantage. With 3 spells in grave, they're going to be drawing a lot of cards here. They're going to add Linkage to their hand and draw 1 card. We can take some damage as they still don't have Ray in the graveyard, so I don't think we are in the risk of dying anytime soon. They won't be able to get to Ray into the graveyard with Hayate's effect though, and going back into the Shizuku and setting the Widow Hunter that we know they have searched. And they're actually gonna search another Widow Hunter here as well, but this is I think perfectly fine. We're going to use Magician Souls, and they're going to be responding with a Max D. That's fine, I'll just use all my special summon effects right now. I'm going to fusion Magician Souls and Dark Magician Duel for Dark Magicians, then use Eternal Soul to bring Dark Magician back. We're going to force the Shizuku out, and they're going to respond with a Widow Hunter, which we're going to negate with Magician's Navigation. With that drawn, we have both the Dark Magician, the Dark Magician Duel, and the Dark Magicians together, and we're going to draw a card with it. We're going to bring back Ray. We're going to try to draw 2 more cards with our Magician's spell, but they're going to go into Tradari, Kaina, and stop our Dark Magicians from attacking. Perfectly fine, we can just shuffle that Lightning Storm back to our deck. We're not going to be using it anytime soon. And then normal summon Magician's Rod, since we search with Illusion of Chaos, and that will allow us to add Dark Burning Magic to our hand. I'm going to set the Dark Magic attack as well to bait for the Dark Burning Magic, since we know that they're on Jamming Waves and also Runic Spells. They can take our monster, it's fine, and they won't be able to use its effect. I'm going to use the Dark Burning Magic here because I don't want them getting more advantage using Runic Fountain. Unfortunately, our Dark Magicians is negated, and they're going to also destroy our board using their Runic spells and destroying our Eternal Soul. This is pretty bad, but I still don't think that they can go for an OTK here. They are going to get Jamming Waves to destroy our final back row that we have set, which was a bait as it was Dark Magic attack, so that's perfectly fine. Their battle phase is skipped, so they're just going to go into a Shizuku and add a Shark Cannon to their hands. Our resources look pretty low, but that's actually not the case because we still have access to Soul Servants as well as the Illusion of Chaos. I was going to search Magician's Rod with Illusion of Chaos, but we just happened to draw it, so I can now search Magician's Souls without a problem. I'm just going to summon a Dark Magician using it, and then we're going to banish their monsters and then summon a Dark Magician Girl to get well over lethal damage on board. They're going to get Ray, but that's not going to matter, because they don't really have anything else that they can tag into yet, and even if they do, they won't be able to stop the Dark Magician from hitting that final blow. And I just do love this new animation, it's so good. So we're back with the deck, and well, it does look really good. Just don't ask me what fight cards do, because I am definitely going to lose to those if I have to play against a deck like that. But for casual play or for the Dark Magician fans, this is a really good entry point. You can definitely upgrade this deck further by using more Dark Magician cards from the packs, but if you just want to pick up the structure decks and play Dark Magician, this list is absolutely playable, and I played it in ranked as you saw. Maybe not in Diamond, but at ranks like Gold, this deck will do perfectly fine. This will also be kind of playable in the new upcoming event. Although you might have to change a few cards a bit, because I don't think cards like Ash and Lightning Storm is going to be playable in that deck, but I might make another version there, so if you would like to see that, feel free to follow my Discord or leave a comment to say what would you like to see me do next. But with that, I'll see you in another video.